The gallery smelled like money and pretense. Sierra Morrison stood beside her 30th watercolor, watching strangers in expensive clothes pretend to understand her art. Desert landscapes, endless squashes, the kind of safe, beautiful things that sell to people who want beauty without pain. Sold. The red sticker went up. Another one. Sierra smiled the way she'd been taught. Grateful, humble, perfect. Her father stood in the corner, uncomfortable in a suit jacket over his Harley-Davidson shirt. Kane Morrison, 58 years old, president of the Hells Angels Nevada chapter, trying his best to fit into his daughter's world. He caught her eye, nodded. She could read that nod. It said, "I'm proud of you." It said, "This ain't my scene, baby girl, but I'm here." It always said, "I'll protect you from everything." Sierra didn't know yet how much she'd never needed protecting from. Around them, bikers tried to blend in. 40 men in their 50s and 60s, leather traded for sport coats, tattoos, covered beards trimmed. For her. Because Kane's daughter mattered. Because in their world, family was everything. "Your use of light is extraordinary," a woman in pearl said. "Where do you find your inspiration?" Sierra gave her rehearsed answer. The desert at sunrise. The way shadows. Her phone buzzed. Text from her best friend Mallory. "Girl, 30 paintings sold. You're basically famous now." Sierra excused herself, stepped outside. The Vegas night hit her like a wall. October heat still hovering around 85. She leaned against the gallery wall, let herself breathe. This was her world. Clean, safe, controlled. She had no idea it was about to shatter. 2 hours later, Sierra drove east on Highway 95, alone. Windows down, radio up. Her blue Mustang 18th birthday present from Kane ate up the miles between Vegas and the ranch. The desert stretched forever. Dark sky, darker road. She sang along to old country, off-key, not caring. This was freedom. The space between her father's world and her own. The 40-minute drive where she could just be. Headlights appeared behind her. White utility truck, swerving slightly. Drunk driver, probably. Sierra eased right, let him pass. The truck lurched, overcorrected. Sierra's artist eye caught the detail even before her brain processed the danger. The way the truck's wheels caught gravel, the way physics took over. She saw it in slow motion. The truck tilted, rolled once, twice, metal screaming, glass exploding. The desert night lit up by sparks and chaos. The truck landed upside down across both lanes, right in front of her. Sierra's foot hit the brake. Tires shrieked. The Mustang fishtailed, stopped 15 feet from the wreckage. For 3 seconds, she sat there, hands on the wheel, heart trying to break through her ribs. Then she saw movement inside the truck. A shadow. Someone alive. Sierra's hands shook as she killed the engine. Got out. Her legs felt like water. "Help!" A voice from the truck. Male. Older. "Please, somebody help." Other cars were stopping. A woman with a phone pressed to her ear. A man standing, frozen hands on his head. 2 teenagers with their phones out filming. Not helping. Filming. Something cold settled in Sierra's chest. This was the real world. The one her father had kept her from. The one where people watched instead of acted. She ran toward the wreck. "Miss, stay back," someone shouted. "Fire department's coming." Sierra ignored them, dropped to her knees beside the truck. The driver's window was shattered. Inside, a man in his 50s hanging upside down from his seatbelt, blood running down his face. "Can you move?" Sierra asked. "My leg, it's pinned. The dashboard." He coughed. "Just go. Save yourself. I'm not leaving you." She looked around, searched for something, anything. A tire iron. A jack. The truck was too heavy. She was too small. The man was going to die while she watched. And then she smelled it. Gasoline, sharp, chemical. spreading. "Oh God," the man whispered, "it's going to blow." Sierra's mind went blank with terror. She should run. She knew she should run. Every instinct screamed at her to run, but her hands were already pulling at the bent metal. Her voice was already shouting, "Somebody help us, please." Nobody moved. The teenagers kept filming, and then the second crash happened. Sierra spun around just in time to see a sedan swerve to avoid the truck. The sedan clipped her Mustang, her beautiful blue Mustang that she'd left parked on the shoulder with hazards flashing. The impact sent the Mustang spinning. It flipped, landed on its side, and then the truck shifted. The weight redistributed. The upside-down truck settled down onto Sierra's crushed Mustang like a predator claiming prey. Sierra watched her car die, watched the roof compress, watched glass explode. She'd been inside that car 3 minutes ago. The man in the truck was saying something. Sierra couldn't hear him, couldn't hear anything over the ringing in her ears and the terrible understanding of how close she'd come. And then someone was running toward the wreckage, not toward the truck, toward her Mustang. A kid, 16, maybe 17, skinny, backpack, long dark hair falling in his eyes. He looked homeless, looked like he'd been walking the highway for days. He dropped to his knees beside the crushed Mustang, started pulling at the door. "Wait," Sierra shouted. "There's nobody in there." But he wasn't listening. His hands bled as he pulled at the metal. The truck above groaned, shifted, settling onto the Mustang. Sierra ran to him. "Stop, the truck's going to collapse." He looked at her. His eyes were blue, terrified, but determined. "I heard screaming," he said. "Someone's in there." "That was me," I screamed when I saw it get hit. "The car's empty." The boy looked at her, at the Mustang. Understanding dawned. "You got out," he said, "to help him." Sierra pointed at the truck. "He's trapped. Can you help me?" The boy looked at the truck, at the spreading gasoline, at the smoke starting to curl from the engine. He should have run. Any sane person would have run. Instead, he dropped to his stomach, started crawling under the truck. "Kid, what the hell are you doing?" someone shouted. "Get out of there!" Sierra didn't hesitate. She dropped down beside him, crawled into the 18 inches of clearance between the truck frame and the asphalt. "Ma'am, no." She ignored the voices, ignored the hate radiating from the metal above, ignored everything except the man's face. The boy reached the driver first. "I'm Ryder," he said to the trapped man. "We're going to get you out." "My leg," the man gasped. "It's pinned. You can't." "How long until the fire department?" someone asked above them. 8 minutes. Maybe 10. Sierra looked at the gasoline pooling under them, looked at the smoke getting thicker. "We don't have 8 minutes. Ryder braced his back against the truck frame, put his feet against the dashboard. "On three, we pushed together." Sierra positioned herself beside him. Their eyes met in the dark. Two strangers, about to die together or save someone together. 3. They pushed. The metal groaned. Didn't budge. "Again," Ryder said. They pushed harder. Sierra's back screamed. The truck above them was hot enough to blister skin. She could feel it settling. Tiny shifts, groans in the frame. Above them, someone was shouting. "There's gas everywhere. It's leaking from the truck." "Yes." "How long?" Another voice. 6 minutes. Maybe less. And then the sound. Deep, rumbling, getting louder. Engines. Through the gap under the truck, Sierra saw the highway. Saw motorcycles. Dozens of them. Pulling up in formation on both sides of the wreck. Chrome gleaming. Leather and denim. Patches on their backs. The engines cut off one by one. Boots hit pavement. And then her father's voice. Rough, commanding, terrified. "Where's my daughter?" Sierra tried to answer. Her throat had closed. Kane's face appeared at the gap, older than she remembered, scared in a way she'd never seen. "Sierra." "Dad." Her voice cracked. "We're trying to—" Kane's eyes found Ryder, found the trapped driver, understood immediately. He stood up, his voice carried across the highway. Chains. I need every chain we've got, and somebody kill that gas line before this whole thing goes up. The bikers moved, fast, organized. This wasn't their first crisis. Ryder turned to Sierra. When they pull, we push. Got it? Got it? A face appeared beside Kane's. Younger biker, tattoos up his neck. Kid, miss, when we pull, you push hard as you can. Don't let him move until the truck is clear. If it slips back, we understand, Sierra said. The biker nodded. You got guts, both of you. He disappeared. Engine started. Not 8, more, 12, 15. Kane wasn't taking chances. His voice cut through. Steady now, no jerking. Smooth and even. On my count. Sierra felt Ryder's shoulder against hers. 2 kids under 3 tons of metal and fire. 3. She braced her back against the frame. 2. Ryder positioned himself under the dashboard. 1. Pull. The engines roared. The chains went taut. The truck groaned. And then it moved, not much. An inch, maybe less. But it was enough. Now, Ryder shouted. They pushed together, felt the dashboard lift. The driver's leg came free. Go, Sierra yelled. Crawl toward us. The driver scrambled. Hands reached in and pulled him out into the light. Your turn, Ryder said to Sierra. Move. Sierra started crawling backward, felt Ryder right behind her. They were almost out when the truck settled, dropped an inch. Ryder's shirt caught on something, metal jagged. He yanked hard. The shirt tore, but he was stuck. Sierra grabbed his arm, pulled. Come on. Hands from outside grabbed both of them, yanked them clear. They rolled onto the asphalt. Sierra's father's hands pulling her up, other bikers pulling Ryder. Everybody back, Kane shouted. She's gonna blow. The bikers moved as one, picked up Sierra, picked up Ryder, picked up the driver, carried them all 50 feet away. The truck exploded. The blast wave knocked them down. Heat washed over everything. Debris rained from the sky. A piece of burning tire landed 10 feet away. Then silence. Not real silence. Sirens in the distance, people talking. But after the explosion, it felt like silence. Sierra sat on the asphalt. Her hands shook. She looked at them, covered in soot and blood. Ryder sat beside her, not looking at anyone, just staring at his hands the same way. Kane knelt between them, looked at Sierra, looked at Ryder. You risked everything for a stranger, Kane said to Ryder. Ryder didn't answer. What's your name, kid? Ryder Lowell. Where you from? Ryder Lowell. Nowhere. Kane's eyes narrowed. He'd been around long enough to recognize that answer. You got people, someone we can call? No. No family? No. Kane was quiet for a long moment. Then he held out his hand. Ryder looked at it, didn't move. Take it, Kane said. Ryder took his hand. Kane pulled him to his feet. My daughter's alive because of you, Kane said. You understand what that means. I couldn't leave them. Most people would have. I'm not most people. Kane almost smiled. No, I don't think you are. Ambulances arrived. Paramedics swarmed. They took the truck driver first. Alive. Broken leg, concussion, but alive. Then they came for Sierra. Miss, you need to sit down. Let us look at you. Sierra's legs gave out. She didn't remember deciding to sit. She was just suddenly on the ground. A paramedic was shining a light in her eyes. Possible concussion, minor lacerations. She's in shock. Another paramedic examined her legs. Left tibia fractured. We need to immobilize and transport. Where to? Kane asked. Desert Springs Hospital. Good, I'm riding with her. Then they turned to Ryder. The boy tried to stand, couldn't. Son, you need medical attention. I'm fine. You're not fine. Look at your hands. Ryder looked down. His palms were shredded, blood running down his wrists. His shirt was torn, and through the gaps, Sierra saw them. Scars, Old scars, cigarette burns in a pattern, belt marks, the kind of scars that told a story. We need to transport him too, the paramedic said to Kane. Same hospital as my daughter. Yes, sir. Then I'll follow. They loaded Sierra into an ambulance. She kept looking back at Ryder. He stood there, surrounded by bikers, looking small, lost. Wait, Sierra said. Where's he going to go? Hospital, miss. Same as you. After that, where does he go after that? The paramedic didn't answer, but Sierra saw it in their eyes. They knew. Ryder was a runaway, the kind of kid who disappeared into the system, the kind of kid who saved strangers and expected nothing back. The ambulance doors closed. The last thing Sierra saw was Ryder's face and those scars, and she thought nobody gets scars like that by accident. Desert Springs Hospital, 11:47 p.m. Sierra lay in a bed, left leg in a temporary cast, IV in her arm, concussion protocol. They wanted to keep her overnight for observation. Kane sat beside her bed. He hadn't left, hadn't said much, just sat there holding her hand, looking older than she'd ever seen him. Dad? Yeah, baby girl. That boy, Ryder, where is he? Getting checked out, down the hall. What's going to happen to him? Kane was quiet. Dad, what's going to happen to him? He's got a warrant, Sierra, California. He's a runaway from foster care. The words hit her like a fist. They're going to take him back. Yeah, probably. To where? Kane's jaw tightened. To whoever he ran from. Sierra sat up despite the pain in her leg. No, they can't. Dad, did you see his back, those scars? I saw. Somebody hurt him bad enough that he ran, and they're going to send him back. System doesn't work the way it should, baby girl. Then we don't let them take him. Kane looked at her, really looked at her. What are you saying? I'm saying he saved that man's life. He saved mine. I'm saying somebody who does that doesn't deserve to go back to whoever put those scars on his back. Sierra, we can't just... Yes, we can. You protect people, Dad. That's what you do. That's what the club does. You protect family. He's not family. He should be. The door opened. A nurse came in. Ms. Morrison, there's a situation in the lobby. Your father might want to... Kane was already moving. What kind of situation? Police. They're here for the mom. Ryder Lowell. Sierra threw off her blanket, started pulling out her IV. Sierra, what are you doing? I'm not letting them take him. You can't even walk. Then get me a wheelchair. Kane stared at her. His daughter, 18 years old, leg broken, concussion, demanding to fight the police for a kid she'd met an hour ago. And maybe it was the pain medication. Maybe it was the shock. But Kane saw something in her eyes he'd never seen before. His little girl was gone. The woman in that bed had looked death in the face and decided to fight back. Get her a wheelchair, Kane said to the nurse. Sir, I don't think... I said get her a wheelchair. Now. 5 minutes later, Sierra rolled into the lobby, leg elevated, IV stand attached to the chair, still in a hospital gown, blood in her hair. The lobby was packed. 40 bikers, maybe more, standing in formation, and in the middle, surrounded, was Ryder. 2 police officers stood facing Kane. One had his hand near his gun. Mr. Morrison, the cop said, we need to take the boy into custody. He's a fugitive from California. He's a hero, Kane said. He's a minor with an active warrant. He risked his life for strangers. I understand that, sir, but the law, Sierra's voice cut through. Everyone turned. She rolled forward. The bikers parted. Let her through. The cops stared. This girl, broken, bloodied, IV dripping. She looked like she'd been through a war. The law is going to send him back to whoever did this. Sierra gestured at Ryder, at the scars visible through his torn shirt. Ma'am, that's not our concern. We have a warrant. I don't care about your warrant. Sierra's voice was steady, cold, nothing like the girl who'd painted watercolor 6 hours ago. That boy saved my life, and I'm not letting you take him. Miss Morrison, you can't obstruct. I'm not obstructing. I'm testifying. I'm a witness. And I'm telling you right now, under oath, if you want, that those scars didn't happen by accident. Somebody tortured that kid, and you want to send him back. The cop shifted uncomfortably. There are procedures. Social services will investigate. Social services already investigated, Ryder's voice. Quiet, broken. 3 times. They believed him every time. Sierra looked at Ryder. Who's him? Ryder's eyes met hers, and she saw it. The same determination she'd seen under the truck, but also terror and something else. Hope. Fragile. Desperate. Victor Aldrich, Ryder whispered. My foster father. The name meant nothing to Sierra, not yet. But she'd remember it, burn it into her memory. Because in that moment, looking at this boy who'd risked everything, Sierra Morrison made a choice. The same choice he'd made under that truck, not to look away. He's not going anywhere, Sierra said to the cops. Not tonight, not until we figure this out. Ma'am, that's not your decision. Then arrest me too. Sierra looked at her father. Dad, tell them. Kane looked at his daughter, at the cops, at 40 bikers waiting for orders. He'd spent 18 years protecting Sierra from the world, from hard choices, from pain. But she wasn't asking for protection anymore. She was asking him to follow her lead. Kane turned to the cops. The boy stays under my custody until we sort this out. Sir, you can't. I can, and I am. The cop's hand moved toward his radio. I'm calling for backup. Call whoever you want, Kane said, but that kid's not leaving this hospital tonight. The biker shifted, moved closer, not threatening, just present. 40 men, then 50. More arriving. Word had spread. The cop looked around, saw the cameras, people filming on phones, saw Sierra in her wheelchair. Bloodied, brave. He saw how this would play on the news. Cops dragging a hero away while a wounded girl protested. He stepped back. I need to make a call. They waited. 3 hours. The standoff lasted 3 hours. More cops arrived, more bikers. The hospital became a circus. And somewhere in California, a man named Victor Aldrich saw his foster son's face on the television. He watched Ryder, watched Sierra, watched the bikers form a wall, and he smiled, because Victor Aldrich had been doing this for 20 years. He knew the system, knew the loopholes, knew exactly how to make people see what he wanted them to see. A scared girl in a motorcycle gang thought they could protect one troubled boy. Victor picked up his phone, made a call. The war had begun. And Sarah Morrison, 18-year-old artist who'd never fought for anything in her life, had just painted her first target on a monster who knew how to hide in plain sight. The courtroom was smaller than Sierra expected. Judge Morrison presiding. No relation to her family despite the name. Gray hair, tired eyes, a man who'd seen too many cases like this. Sierra sat in the front row, wheelchair, leg elevated. She'd refused pain medication, needed to be sharp. Ryder sat at the defendant's table beside Julia Reeves, the lawyer Kane had hired, best family attorney in Nevada, 45 years old, sharp suit, sharper mind. Across the aisle, Christine Dalton from California Child Protective Services, 55, professional, carrying an interstate transfer order that would send Ryder back to California in handcuffs. Kane stood against the back wall, arms crossed, 40 bikers behind him. They dressed up, clean shirts, no visible weapons, but the message was clear. We're here. We're watching. Judge Morrison looked at the gallery, raised an eyebrow. This is a lot of leather for a custody hearing. Quiet laughter, but nobody left. Let's get started, the judge said. Miss Reeves, you filed this emergency motion. Make your case. Julia stood, Your Honor, Ryder Lowell is a 16-year-old minor who has been subjected to ongoing physical and emotional abuse by his foster parent, Victor Aldrich. He ran away 3 weeks ago to escape this abuse. 2 days ago, he risked his life to save Sierra Morrison and another victim during a highway accident. He is currently under the protection of Kane Morrison, who has petitioned for emergency guardianship. On what basis? On the basis that returning Ryder to California custody means returning him to his abuser. The California prosecutor stood. Gerald Pike, sharp suit, sharper tactics. Your Honor, this is inflammatory and unfounded. Victor Aldrich has been investigated 3 times. 3 times the allegations were determined to be false. Mr. Lowell has a documented history of behavioral issues and dishonesty. Julia's voice was sharp. Behavioral issues? You mean the behavioral issues of a traumatized child trying to survive? I mean a pattern of lying to manipulate adults. Judge Morrison raised his hand. Let's stay focused. Ms. Reeves, do you have evidence of abuse? We have medical records showing multiple injuries consistent with physical abuse. We have testimony from Ryder himself, and we have medical records showing injuries, not showing cause, Pike interrupted. The boy could have gotten those injuries anywhere. He got them from Victor Aldrich. So he claims. Judge Morrison looked at Ryder. Son, stand up. Ryder stood, shaking. Did Victor Aldrich hurt you? Yes, sir. How? Ryder's voice was barely audible. He hit me, burned me with cigarettes, made me sleep on the floor when I misbehaved, didn't feed me for days at a time. Did you report this? 3 times. To whom? My caseworker, Mrs. Patterson. And what happened? They investigated, he lied, they believed him. Pike stood. Your Honor, this is exactly the pattern I mentioned. The boy makes allegations. They're investigated. They're found to be false. He makes more allegations. Julia turned to Pike. Or the system failed to protect him 3 times. Or he's a troubled child who refuses to follow rules. Sierra couldn't stay quiet anymore. She stood up from her wheelchair. Pain shot through her leg. She didn't care. I saw his back, she said. Everyone turned. Judge Morrison frowned. Young lady, sit down. You're not part of these proceedings. I'm the reason he's here, Sierra said. The crash happened. Ryder saved us, and I saw his back. Those aren't injuries from anywhere. Those are cigarette burns. Deliberate. Patterned. Somebody tortured that kid. Ms. Morrison, he risked his life for strangers. For me. For a man he didn't know. And now you want to send him back to the person who did that to him. Pike smiled coldly. Ms. Morrison, I understand you're grateful, but gratitude doesn't override the law. Then the law is wrong. Sit down, Judge Morrison said. Not unkind, just firm. Sierra sat. Her father's hand landed on her shoulder from behind. Squeezed once. She knew what it meant. I know. I agree. But let the lawyer handle this. Julia stepped forward. Your Honor, I'd like to submit Ryder's medical records into evidence. Burns, bruises, a fractured rib from 8 months ago, all documented, all explained away by Victor Aldrich as accidents or self-harm. Self-harm, Judge Morrison's voice sharpened. Mr. Aldrich claimed Ryder had behavioral issues, that he hurt himself for attention. The judge flipped through the medical records. His expression didn't change, but something shifted in his eyes. Mr. Pike, he said, how do you explain these injuries? The same way CPS explained them, Your Honor. Troubled children sometimes engage in self-destructive behavior. Cigarette burns and a pattern on his back. He did that to himself. It's possible. Is it probable? Pike hesitated, just for a second, but it was enough. Judge Morrison leaned back. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm granting temporary emergency custody to Kane Morrison for a period of 30 days. The gallery erupted. Bikers stood. Someone cheered. Morrison's gavel came down. Order, I'm not finished. The room quieted. During those 30 days, we're going to conduct a full investigation, independent, Nevada-based. If we find evidence of abuse, we move forward with permanent guardianship proceedings. If we don't, Ryder goes back to California. Is that clear? Yes, Your Honor, Julia said. Pike stood. Your Honor, I object. This sets a dangerous precedent. Your objection is noted, but my ruling stands. We're adjourned. The gavel hit. Sierra let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. 30 days. They had 30 days. Kane's hand was still on her shoulder. You did good. I didn't do anything. You stood up. That's something. Sierra looked at Ryder. He was staring at his hands, not celebrating, not relieved, just empty. She wheeled over to him. Hey. He looked up. You shouldn't have done that. Stood up in court. Why not? Because now they'll come after you too. Victor, he doesn't let things go. Let him come. Ryder shook his head. You don't understand. He's not like other people. He's smart. Careful. He knows how to make people believe him. Then we'll be smarter, more careful, and we'll make people believe us. How? Sierra didn't have an answer. Not yet. But watching Ryder's face, the fear, the resignation, the belief that nobody would ever help him, something hardened in her chest. She'd spent 18 years painting pretty pictures. Safe, comfortable, ignorant. No more. Outside the courthouse, the bikers surrounded them. Kane was already on his phone, organizing, planning. Sierra's phone buzzed. Text from Mallory, OMG, just saw you on the news. Are you okay? Sierra looked at the message, thought about her friend, her gallery opening, her old life. Felt like years ago. She typed back, everything's changed. I'll explain when I can. Sent. Another buzz, unknown number. Sierra opened it. Hello, Sierra. My name is Victor Aldrich. I think we should talk. Her blood froze. Kane's ranch sat 40 miles outside Vegas. 20 acres. Main house, guest house, garage full of motorcycles. Far enough from the city to have privacy. Close enough to get to quickly if needed. Sierra had grown up here. Knew every corner, every hiding spot. It had always felt safe. Tonight it felt like a fortress preparing for siege. Kane set Ryder up in the guest house. Clean bed, private bathroom, door that locked from the inside. You need anything, you call, Kane said. Day or night, I don't care. You call. Ryder nodded, didn't speak. Sierra watched from the doorway. Crutches now instead of wheelchair, leg throbbing. She should be resting. But she couldn't stop thinking about that text message. 3 days passed, Sierra healed. Ryder settled in. Neither talked much about what came next. On the 4th day, Kane found Sierra in the kitchen, scrolling through news articles on her laptop. How you feeling? He asked. Dad, who was that in the courtroom? That was you, baby girl. No, that was someone I didn't know I could be. Kane sat down across from her, poured himself coffee. Your mother, she was like that, fierce when she believed in something. Sierra looked up. Kane rarely mentioned her mother. She saw a kid being bullied at the grocery store once, Kane continued. Didn't know the kid, didn't know the bully, but she stepped between them. Got a black eye for it. You never told me that. I was protecting you, kept you safe. Maybe too safe. Sierra closed her laptop. I can't go back, Dad, to painting pretty pictures while kids like Ryder. I know, and I won't ask you to. He pulled out a business card, placed it on the table. Julia Reeves. She's the best. If you're going to do this, and I can see you are, you do it smart. You do it right. Sierra picked up the card. He's got a system. Victor, friends, resources. So do we, and we've got something he doesn't. What? Kane smiled, white but proud. A daughter who doesn't know when to quit. That night, Sierra sat in her room, laptop open, researching. Victor Aldrich, foster care, Nevada, California. Nothing. Victor Aldrich, abuse allegations. Nothing. Victor Aldrich Army Veteran Bingo Articles Awards, Veteran of the Year 2019, Mentorship Program for At-Risk Youth, testimonials from former foster children's singing his praises. Sierra clicked through. Read. Mr. Aldrich saved my life, gave me structure when I had none. Best foster parent I ever had. Strict but fair. I wouldn't be in college without him. 3 glowing reviews, 3 success stories, and somewhere buried in the system, 3 abuse complaints, all closed, all unfounded. Sierra's phone rang, unknown number, same one from the text. She answered. Hello, Sierra. Victor's voice, warm, concerned, everything a good man should sound like. I hope I'm not calling too late. It's 11 o'clock. I know, I apologize, but I've been worried sick. I saw the news, that terrible accident. Are you all right? I'm fine. Thank God, and Ryder he's safe. I'm so glad to hear that. Sierra, I need you to understand something. Ryder is very special to me. I've tried so hard to help him, but he's troubled, deeply troubled. What he's told you, none of it is true. Sierra's hand tightened on the phone. She'd started recording as soon as she answered. Then how did he get the scars? Previous placements, he came to me already damaged. I've been trying to help him heal, but he resists, makes up stories. I think, and this is hard to say, but I think he enjoys the attention it brings. Enjoys it? I know how that sounds, but you have to understand I've fostered 17 children over the years, most of them success stories, but some are beyond my ability to help. And Ryder, bless his heart, he's one of them. He saved my life. And that's wonderful. Truly, it shows there's good in him. That's what I've been trying to cultivate. But Sierra, a single act of heroism doesn't erase a pattern of behavior. What pattern? Lying, manipulation, running away. This is his 4th placement in 2 years. Do you know why? Because he keeps reporting abuse. Because he refuses to follow rules, any rules. And when he's disciplined, appropriately, I might add, he claims abuse. It's a cycle. And I'm afraid your father's intervention, however well-intentioned, is enabling it. Sierra was recording, phone propped on her desk, laptop recording backup audio. Mr. Aldrich, please call me Victor. Victor, if what you're saying is true, why did you call me? Silence on the line, brief. Then because I'm worried about you. About me. Your father is Kane Morrison. I know who he is, what he is. And I'm afraid, forgive me for being blunt, but I'm afraid he's using you. Using your gratitude toward Ryder to wage some kind of war against the system. My father isn't using me. Are you sure, Sierra, you're 18? You almost died. You're vulnerable right now. And Kane Morrison is not a good man. Sierra's jaw clenched. You don't know my father. I know his reputation, the Hells Angels, violence, drugs, extortion. Is that really who you want deciding Ryder's future? My father is protecting Ryder from you. Is he, or is he using a traumatized boy to build some kind of, what empire of rescued children? Sierra, think about it. 30 days of temporary custody. What happens in those 30 days? Your father gets publicity, gets to play the hero in Ryder. He goes from one bad situation to another. Ryder wasn't in a bad situation until he met you. Victor's voice changed, subtle, the warmth cooling. I understand you're upset, emotional, but you need to be careful, dear. Making accusations you can't prove against a man with an impeccable record. That could be considered slander. Is that a threat? Of course not. It's advice from someone who cares about vulnerable children, including you. I'm not a child. No, but you are naive, sheltered. Your father made sure of that. Didn't he? Kept you in your little bubble. Your art, your gallery openings. Never let you see the real world. Well, now you're seeing it, and I'm afraid you're not equipped. I'm equipped enough to know you're lying. Silence. Longer this time. When Victor spoke again, the warmth was gone. 30 days, Sierra. That's all you have. And in those 30 days, I'm going to prove that everything Ryder told you is a lie. I'm going to show the court, show the world that he's a disturbed, manipulative child who needs serious help. Help I've been trying to provide. You're not getting him back. We'll see. Good night, Sierra. Take care of that leg. Injuries like that can have long-term consequences if not properly treated. He hung up. Sierra sat there, hands shaking. That last line. Injuries can have long-term consequences. Was that concern or warning? She saved the recordings, backed them up to cloud storage, sent copies to Julia. Then she opened a new browser tab, typed how to investigate someone's past. 5 days into the 30-day countdown, Sierra drove to Reno. Alone. Against Kane's orders, against doctor's orders. But her leg was healing, and she needed answers. Marcus Hollis lived in a studio apartment above a laundromat, 20 years old, mechanic at a local garage, former foster kid, former Victor Aldrich victim. Sierra had found his name in the CPS records Julia had acquired. One of the three who'd reported abuse. One of the three nobody believed. She knocked. Marcus opened the door 6 inches. Chain still on. Yeah, Marcus Hollis. Who's asking? My name is Sierra Mormoan. I need to talk to you about Victor Aldrich. His face went white, started to close the door. Wait, Sierra said, please, just 5 minutes. I don't talk about that to anyone. I'm not a reporter. I'm not CPS. I'm trying to help someone. Can't help, sorry. The door closed. Sierra heard the deadbolt slide. She stood there, stared at the peeling paint. The numbers 2B hanging crooked, pulled out her phone, found the photo she'd taken 5 days ago. Ryder's back. Knocked again. I said no. Sierra held the phone up to the door gap. Let him see. Marcus went silent. His name is Ryder, Sierra said. He's 16. He ran away 3 weeks ago, and if I can't prove Victor did this, they're sending him back. That's not my problem. Maybe not, but you know what it's like. You lived through it, and you reported it, and nobody believed you. So I'm asking, please, help me make them believe. Marcus stared at the photo. His hand on the doorframe was shaking. 5 minutes, he finally said. He let her in. The apartment was small, clean, sparse. A life lived without attachment to things. They sat at a card table. Marcus wouldn't look at her. How'd you find me? He asked. Court records. Your name was on an abuse complaint from 2 years ago. That was sealed. I have a good lawyer. Marcus almost smiled. Broke the law to find me. That's commitment. I'm motivated. Why that kid Ryder? What is he to you? He saved my life 2 days ago. Car accident. A man was trapped. Ryder crawled under a burning truck to help get him out. Marcus looked at her, really looked, saw the cuts healing on her face, the walking boot on her leg. And you're returning the favor. Trying to. By going after Victor. By exposing him. Marcus stood, paced. You don't know what you're doing. Victor isn't just some abusive foster dad. He's smart, connected. He's got friends in CPS, friends in the court system, friends everywhere. Then help me find his enemies. He doesn't have enemies. Everyone loves him. That's the problem. Not everyone. You reported him. There were 2 others, Natalie Brennan, Cole Tennant. Marcus's head snapped up. How do you? Same sealed records. Where are they? I don't know. We weren't exactly friends, just survivors. You ever talk to them after? Once, maybe twice. Natalie went to college in Arizona, last I heard. Cole stayed in Vegas, works warehouses, moves around a lot. Can you help me find them? Why would I? Because you know I'm right. You know Victor did this, and you know the system won't stop him. Marcus sat back down, put his head in his hands. I was there for 11 months, longest 11 months of my life. What happened? At first, nothing. He was great, made me dinner, helped with homework, asked about my day. I thought I finally found someone who gave a damn. When did it change? About a month in, little things. I left a glass on the counter. He made me wash every dish in the house. I talked back once. He made me stand in the corner for 3 hours. I missed curfew by 5 minutes. He locked me in the basement overnight. And you reported it. Twice. First time they came out, looked around, Victor cried, talked about how hard he tried, how I was difficult, how he was doing his best. They left. And the second time I had bruises, he'd hit me with a frying pan, split my lip. I went to school, told a counselor. She called CPS. What happened? Victor said I got in a fight with another kid at the park. He had witnesses, other foster parents who'd seen it. I hadn't even been to the park, but they believed him. How? Because he's good Sierra. He doesn't just lie. He builds lies, layers them, gets other people to confirm them. By the time CPS investigated, there were 3 people backing up his story, and I was just a troubled kid with a history of lying. But you weren't lying. No, but I couldn't prove it. Marcus looked at her for a long moment. Then he pulled out his phone, scrolled, found a number. This is Natalie's number from 2 years ago. Don't know if it still works. Sierra saved it. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. This is going to get ugly. Victor doesn't lose, ever. There's a first time for everything. Marcus walked her to the door. Sierra, that kid, Ryder, the one who saved you. Yeah. Don't let him down. Whatever it takes, don't let Victor win. I won't. She meant it. That night back at the ranch, Sierra sat in her room, laptop open, building something. Not a legal brief, not a case file, a story. She'd been an artist her whole life, knew how to make people see, feel, understand. Victor had his layers of lies, his witnesses, his reputation. But Sierra had something he didn't. The truth. Raw, visual, undeniable. She started editing. Footage of Ryder's scars. Audio of Marcus's testimony she'd recorded with his permission. Clips of Victor's awards. His smiling face at community events. The contrast. Her phone rang. Julia. Sierra, I heard you went to Reno. Yeah. Against my advice. I needed to talk to Marcus. And he'll testify, maybe, if we can get the others. That's a big if. I know. Julia sighed. There's something else. Victor filed a motion, trying to dismiss the emergency custody, claims we have no concrete evidence. We have Ryder's testimony, which he's going to claim as false. Sierra, we need more. Medical records aren't enough. Marcus, Natalie, Cole, their testimony will help, but it's still just words. Then I'll get more than words. Sierra hung up, stared at her laptop screen. Victor's face stared back, smiling. Perfect. She thought about what Ryder said. He knows how to make people believe him. Fine, let him be charming, let him be perfect. Sierra would show the world what perfection looked like when you pulled back the mask. She opened a new message, typed a number she'd memorized but hoped she'd never use. Mr. Aldrich, this is Sierra Morrison. I've been thinking about what you said, about being naive, about not understanding. You're right, I don't understand. And I'd like to. Can we meet just the 2 of us? I want to hear your side of the story. She hit send before she could change her mind. The response came in 30 seconds. I'd be honored. Tomorrow, 2 p.m., there's a cafe in Henderson, the Blue Sage. I think you'll find I'm not the monster they're making me out to be. Sierra typed back, see you then. Set her phone down, looked at Ryder's photo on her laptop. I'm coming for you, Victor, she whispered to the screen. And you're not getting to see me coming. Tomorrow she'd sit across from a monster, and she'd smile, and she'd record every word, because Sierra Morrison wasn't a scared girl anymore. She was a hunter, and she just found her prey. The Blue Sage Cafe sat on a quiet corner in Henderson. Afternoon sun filtered through lace curtains. Classical music played softly. The kind of place where grandmothers met for tea, perfect camouflage for a predator. Sierra arrived early, chose a corner table, back to the wall, clear view of the entrance. Her phone sat on the table, recording app already running, hidden camera in her purse, backup recorder in her jacket pocket. She wasn't taking chances. Victor Aldrich walked in at exactly 2 p.m., 62 years old, silver hair, kind eyes, cardigan sweater over a button-down shirt. He looked like he should be teaching literature at a small college, not torturing children. He smiled when he saw her, genuine warmth, or a perfect imitation. Sierra, thank you for meeting me. He didn't try to hug her, didn't invade her space, just pulled out his chair, sat across from her like an old friend. Can I order you something? Coffee, tea? I'm fine. You sure the scones here are wonderful? I'm sure some. Victor nodded, ordered himself a chamomile tea, waited until the waitress left before speaking. How's your leg? Healing. Good, that's good. Terrible thing, that accident. You're very lucky Ryder was there. I know. He has good instincts when he wants to use them. Victor stirred sugar into his tea. 3 precise movements. That's what makes this so difficult. I see the potential in him, the good, but he fights it, fights everyone trying to help. Is that why you burned him with cigarettes to help? Victor's hand paused, just for a second, then continued stirring. I've never touched that boy. Not in anger, not ever. The scars say different. The scars are from his previous placement. Before me, I have documentation, medical records from his intake exam. The burns were already there. You're lying. Victor looked at her, and for just a moment, Sierra saw something flicker behind his eyes. Something cold, calculating. Then it was gone, replaced by sadness. I understand why you'd think that. Ryder is very convincing. It's one of his survival mechanisms. He's learned that people respond to victimhood, to tragedy, so he creates it, even when it's not there. He didn't create those scars. No, but he's very good at reassigning blame. I'm not the first foster parent he's accused. I won't be the last. Sierra's phone sat between them, recording. She needed to keep him talking. Tell me about the other children, the ones who accused you. Ah, you've done your research. I have. Victor sighed, sipped his tea. Marcus Hollis, troubled boy, violent tendencies. I tried for 11 months. He assaulted another student. When I confronted him, he claimed I'd hit him. Complete fabrication. And Natalie Brennan, sweet girl, deeply traumatized from her biological family. Anxiety, depression. She'd have episodes, claim things that never happened. I got her into therapy. She accused me of emotional abuse. Her therapist explained it was transference, projecting her father's abuse onto me. Cole Tennant, Victor's smile tightened, almost imperceptibly. Cole had substance abuse issues, stole from me. When I discovered it, threatened to report it to his probation officer. He accused me of physical abuse. Classic deflection. 3 separate children, 3 separate accusations. And they're all lying. Not lying, confused, damaged, doing what damaged children do, lashing out at the people trying to help them. Sierra leaned forward. What about Ezra? Victor's expression didn't change, but his fingers tightened on his teacup. Ezra is a sweet boy, currently in a temporary placement while the situation with Ryder resolves. I hope to get him back soon. His dog died. Yes, Max, old age, very sad. Ezra took it hard. You made him bury it, at night, in the dark, while he cried. I helped him bury it. There's a difference. Grief is important, Sierra. Children need to learn to process loss. I was teaching him. By making him dig a hole while you stood over him. By giving him agency, letting him choose where Max would rest. Ezra chose the backyard under the oak tree. I simply supervised. The lie came so smoothly, so naturally. Sierra understood now what Ryder meant. Victor didn't just lie. He rewrote reality. There's video, Sierra said. Surveillance footage of Ezra digging, crying, and you telling him to dig deeper. Victor's smile never wavered. Taken out of context. Yes, I told him to dig deeper. The hole needed to be deep enough that animals wouldn't disturb it. That's responsible pet burial. The crying, that's grief. Natural. Healthy. He said you killed Max. Ezra is 12 years old, traumatized, confused. When his dog died peacefully, I might add, he needed someone to blame. I'm the adult, the authority figure. So I became the target. You're very good at this. At what? Explaining away the truth. Victor set down his teacup. The warmth in his eyes cooled. Sierra, I'm going to be honest with you. More honest than I've been with anyone in a long time. He leaned forward, voice dropping. I know what your father is. Kane Morrison, Hell's Angels, criminal enterprise, drugs, extortion, violence. He's built an empire on the backs of broken people. And now he's found a new angle. Rescue foster kids. Play the hero. Get publicity, legitimacy. That's not... Let me finish. Victor's voice was still calm, but there was steel underneath. Ryder is a tool to your father, a prop. And you sweet girl, you're the face he puts on it. The innocent daughter, the artist, the survivor who wants to give back. It's brilliant, really, but it's a lie. My father is protecting Ryder from you. Your father is using Ryder to build a foster care empire. Think about it. 30 days of temporary custody. During that time, how many news stories, how many interviews, how much publicity for the Hell's Angels foster advocacy? That's what this is really about. Sierra's hands clenched under the table. You don't know what you're talking about. I know more than you think. I've been doing this for 20 years. I've seen people like your father before. They swoop in, play savior, build their brand on trauma, and the children their collateral damage. Ryder is not collateral damage. Isn't he what happens in 30 days when the court says he has to come back, when they find no evidence? Because there is no evidence, Sierra, just accusations from troubled children and a motorcycle gang with an agenda. There's video, medical records, testimony from 3 separate victims. There's video of a boy burying his dog, medical records that predate my custody, and testimony from 3 disturbed young adults with credibility issues. That's not evidence, that's desperation. Victor pulled out his phone, scrolled, turned it around. Sierra saw photos, Victor with children, smiling, hugging, birthday parties, Christmas mornings, graduations. 17 children, Victor said, over 20 years. These are the ones you don't see. The success stories, the ones who went to college, got jobs, started families, because I helped them, because I cared. He scrolled to another photo, a young man in military uniform. This is David, Marine, deployed 3 times, sends me a card every Christmas, says I saved his life. Another photo, young woman in a cap and gown. Michelle, graduated top of her class, Stanford, full scholarship. Couldn't have done it without structure. I provided. More photos, more smiling faces, more gratitude. These children love me, Victor said. Love me still, because I gave them what they needed. Discipline, structure, consequences, the things that make children into functional adults. And the ones who reported abuse, the ones who couldn't handle discipline, who wanted to do whatever they pleased, who lashed out when I set boundaries. Victor put his phone away. Not every child can be saved, Sierra. Some are too broken, too far gone. I've learned to accept that. Have you, Sierra felt her certainty waver, just for a moment, because the photos were real, The testimonials were real. 17 children, most of them success stories. What if she was wrong, Bohm? She looked at Victor's face, at the calculating coldness behind the warm smile. This was what he did. Made you doubt, made you question. I'm not wrong, Sierra said quietly. Ryder's scars are real. Ezra's tears are real. Marcus, Natalie Cole, their pain is real. Is it, or are you so invested in being the hero that you can't see the truth? I see the truth just fine. Victor stood, left money on the table for his tea. You're 18 years old, smart, talented. You have your whole life ahead of you. Don't waste it on a crusade you can't win. Don't let your father drag you into his world. This isn't my father's crusade. It's mine. Then you're a fool. The warmth was completely gone now. Victor's voice was ice. In 30 days, Ryder comes home, back where he belongs. And this little fantasy you've built about being a savior, about justice prevailing, it ends because I have resources you can't imagine. Lawyers, friends in the system, people who owe me favors, and I will use every single one of them. Bring them. Victor leaned down, close enough that only Sierra could hear. I know things about your father, about his club, things that could put him in prison for 20 years. You want to go to war with me, fine. But understand that when I fight, I destroy, completely. And I won't just take Ryder back. I'll take everything Kane Morrison has built, including you. He straightened, smiled that warm smile again. Loud enough for the cafe to hear, "It was lovely meeting you, Sierra. I hope you feel better soon." Then he walked out. Sierra sat there, heart pounding, hands shaking, but she was smiling because her phone had recorded every word. The courthouse steps, 23 days into the countdown. Sierra stood with Julia, Kane beside her, behind them a wall of bikers and cameras, so many cameras. Julia had called a press conference. "Ladies and gentlemen," Julia said, "thank you for coming. We're here today to release evidence in the case of Ryder Lowell versus Victor Aldrich." She held up a flash drive. This drive contains audio recordings of Victor Aldrich threatening Sierra Morrison, admitting to having resources in the system, claiming he will destroy anyone who opposes him. It also contains surveillance footage of a 12-year-old child being forced to bury his dead pet while in emotional distress. Reporters shouted questions. Julia raised her hand. "We're also releasing testimony from 3 former foster children, Marcus Hollis, Natalie Brennan, Cole Tennant, each placed with Victor Aldrich at different times, each reporting similar patterns of abuse, each ignored by the system." She looked directly at the cameras. "The question before this court, it is simple. Do we protect children or do we protect the adults who abuse them?" Sierra stepped forward. Julia hadn't told her to speak, but she needed to. "My name is Sierra Morrison. 23 days ago, I didn't know Ryder Lowell existed. I didn't know Victor Aldrich existed. I lived in a bubble. Safe, comfortable, ignorant." Her voice was steady, clear. "Then I almost died in a car accident, and a 16-year-old boy, a stranger, crawled under a burning truck to help save us. While everyone else filmed, while everyone else watched, he acted." She pulled out her phone, held it up. The photo appeared on the screen behind her, projected large. Ryder's back, the scars, the burns, undeniable. Gasps from the reporters. "Victor Aldrich did this. And when I started asking questions, he threatened me. Threatened my father. Told me he had resources, power, friends who owed him favors." Sierra looked directly into the nearest camera. "I'm 18 years old. I paint watercolors. I've never been in a fight in my life. But I'm here to say I'm not afraid of you, Victor. I'm not afraid of your resources, your power, your friends, because I have something you don't. The truth." She stepped back. Julia took over, began fielding questions, but Sierra's phone was already blowing up. The photo had gone viral. Justice for Ryder trending. Expose Victor Aldrich climbing. By nightfall, the story was on every major news network. The narrative had shifted. Victor Aldrich was no longer the victim of false accusations. He was the monster Sierra had always known he was. The final hearing, day 30. The courtroom was packed, every seat filled, overflow crowd in the hallway, news cameras outside. Victor sat at the defense table. Clean suit, perfect hair, but there were cracks now, bags under his eyes. His lawyer, Garrett Stone, looked worried. Sierra sat in the front row, Ryder beside her, their hands clasped, both terrified. Judge Morrison entered. Everyone stood. Please be seated. The judge looked exhausted. This case had become a circus, a media sensation, pressure from every direction. I've reviewed all evidence submitted by both parties, audio recordings, video surveillance, medical records, testimony from 5 witnesses, and I've spent the last 3 days reading every document in Victor Aldrich's foster care history, all 17 placements over 20 years. He looked at Victor. Mr. Aldrich, I want to be very clear. The evidence against you is largely circumstantial. Recordings that could be interpreted multiple ways, testimony from young adults with acknowledged behavioral issues, video that shows concerning behavior but not explicit abuse. Sierra's heart sank. However, the judge leaned forward. I keep asking myself one question. Why would 3 separate children years apart who never met each other all tell the same story? Why would they all report cigarette burns, locked closets, withheld food, the same patterns, the same details? He pulled out a document. I also noticed something interesting in your file, Mr. Aldrich. You fostered 17 children, 14 success stories, 3 abuse complaints. Those numbers seem good until you look closer. He put on his reading glasses. Of those 14 success stories, 10 aged out of your care within 6 months, transferred to other placements, or group homes before they could form enough attachment to report anything. 2 more left after 3 months due to incompatibility. Only 2, David and Michelle, your star testimonials, stayed long-term. Victor's jaw tightened. The 3 who reported abuse all stayed between 8 and 11 months. Long enough to see behind the mask. Long enough to realize something was wrong. Long enough to speak up. Your Honor, Garrett Stone stood. This is speculation. Sit down, Mr. Stone. The judge's voice was sharp. Stone sat. I also pulled Marcus Hollis's medical records from his intake exam with you. No cigarette burns, no scars. From his exit exam 11 months later, 7 distinct burn marks. Same pattern as Ryder Lowell. Same locations. The courtroom went silent. Natalie Brennan's therapy records. Her therapist never said transference. That was your characterization, Mr. Aldrich. What the therapist actually wrote was patient displays symptoms consistent with ongoing trauma. Abuse likely but unable to confirm source. Victor's face was stone. Cole Tennant's probation records. No theft reported, no drugs found. What was reported? A probation officer's note. Foster parent claims theft but won't file police report. Suspect situation may be more complex. Judge Morrison removed his glasses. Mr. Aldrich, I've been on this bench for 23 years. I've seen good people falsely accused. I've seen bad people slip through cracks. And I've learned to trust patterns. And the pattern here is clear. However, before I make my final ruling, I have one more question for you, Mr. Aldrich. Please take the stand. Victor stood, walked to the witness stand, sat down, still composed. Garrett Stone looked nervous. Your Honor, this is highly irregular. Noted, Mr. Aldrich, you have testified extensively about your 17 success stories. I'd like to hear more about your philosophy. In your own words, what kind of children come into foster care? Victor shifted. Children from difficult circumstances, broken homes, abuse, neglect. They need structure, discipline, a firm hand. And some of them, in your words, are beyond saving. I never said Judge Morrison held up a transcript. Audio recording from your meeting with Ms. Morrison. Quote, not every child can be saved, Sierra. Some are too broken, too far gone. Did you say that? Yes, but context. What makes a child too far gone, Mr. Aldrich? Victor paused, choosing his words carefully. Some children have been so damaged by their previous experiences that they cannot accept help. They resist authority. They lie. They manipulate. Children like Ryder Lowell. Yes. Children like Marcus Hollis, Natalie Brennan, Cole Tennant. Those children had severe behavioral problems that I worked tirelessly to address. Sierra couldn't stay seated. She stood up. Miss Morrison, sit down, Judge Morrison said. Sierra ignored him. Mr. Aldrich, you told me in the cafe that some children are beyond saving. Which children? The ones who report abuse, the ones who ask for help. Ms. Morrison. The judge's voice was sharp, but Sierra didn't stop. Ryder crawled under a burning truck to save strangers. Marcus wanted someone to care about him. Ezra loved his dog. Were they beyond saving? Victor's face changed. The mask slipped. You don't understand what you're talking about. Then explain it to me. Explain how helping children means burning them, starving them, breaking them. I spent 20 years, Victor's voice rose. He caught himself. Too late. Sierra pressed. 20 years doing what Mr. Aldrich. Cleaning up society's trash. The words exploded from him. Children nobody wants. Broken, damaged. He stopped. Realized what he'd said. The courtroom erupted in shocked whispers. That's not what I meant. Victor tried to backtrack, but it was on record. Judge Morrison's gavel came down. Hard. Order Garrett Stone was on his feet. Your Honor, I request a recess. Denied. Mr. Aldrich, did you just refer to foster children as trash? No, it was a figure of speech. I was upset. The questioning was aggressive. Answer the question. Do you view the children in your care as trash? Victor's mouth opened, closed. I misspoke, but you said it on record. After 20 years of fostering children, that's how you see them when you're under pressure, when the mask slips. Your Honor, that's not fair. Sit down, Mr. Aldrich. Victor sat, his face red, hands shaking. Judge Morrison looked at the gallery, at the cameras, at Sierra still standing. Ms. Morrison, sit down. Sierra sat. The judge took a breath. This court rules in favor of the petitioners. Permanent custody of Ryder Lowell is granted to Kane Morrison. Victor Aldrich's foster care license is permanently revoked. Furthermore, I'm ordering a full criminal investigation into all 17 placements. Every child will be interviewed. Every medical record reviewed. And if even one case shows evidence of abuse, Mr. Aldrich, you will face criminal charges. The gallery erupted, cheering, crying, bikers on their feet. Garrett Stone was shouting objections, and Victor Aldrich was staring at Sierra. Not at Ryder, not at Kane, not at the judge. At Sierra. His expression was pure hatred. You, he said, loud enough to cut through the chaos. You little. He lunged across the table, headed for Sierra. Bailiffs grabbed him. 3 men. Barely enough. Victor was screaming. I gave him everything, structured discipline. And this is how you repay me. They dragged him toward the door. You're nothing, Victor's voice echoed. All of you, nobody wanted you and nobody will. The doors closed. His voice faded. Silence. Then Ryder made a sound, half laugh, half sob. Sierra turned. He was crying, shaking. It's over, she said. It's really over. He's going to appeal. He's going to pawn. Let him. We won. You're safe. Kane's arms wrapped around both of them. You're both safe, and you're home. Ryder broke down completely. Sierra held him. This boy who'd saved her life, who she'd saved back. They were even now. No, they were family. 6 months later, the warehouse in downtown Vegas had been transformed. Desks, filing cabinets, computers, a waiting area with toys for kids, a conference room with a long table, A sign on the door, Hell's Angels Foster Advocacy, HAFA. Sierra stood in the main room. 20 volunteers working phones, taking reports, following up on cases. Marcus was there training to be a victim advocate. Natalie had flown in from Arizona to consult. Cole ran the intake program. And in the back office, Kane and Julia ran in operations. They'd helped 18 kids in 6 months, gotten 4 abusive foster parents investigated, changed 2 state policies on abuse reporting. It wasn't enough, not nearly enough, but it was a start. Sierra's phone buzzed. Text from Ryder, "You coming to dinner?" "It's taco night." She smiled. "Type back, on my way." Ryder lived at the ranch now, officially adopted, Kane's son, Sierra's brother. He was in therapy, still had nightmares, still flinched at sudden movements. But he was healing. They all were. Sierra walked to her car, past a mural she'd painted on the HFM building. Faces of children, not smiling, not pretty, just real, raw, seen. The title in bold letters, "The Invisible Ones." Her phone rang, unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. "Hello, Sierra Morrison," a young voice, female, scared. "Yes. My name is Amanda. I'm in foster care, and something's wrong. I don't know who else to call. I saw your story on the news, and I thought..." Sierra stopped walking. "Where are you?" "Phoenix, Arizona. I am 14. And my foster dad, he's nice most of the time, but sometimes he..." "Tell me," Amanda told her. The same story, different details, same pattern. Charm, rules, punishment, escalation. Nobody believing her. "Amanda," Sierra said, "I need you to listen to me very carefully. You're not crazy, you're not lying, and I'm going to help you." "Okay, okay. First thing, do you have a phone you can use that he doesn't know about?" "Yes, my friend let me borrow it." "Good, I'm going to give you a number. It's for a lawyer, her name is Julia. You call her. Tell her everything. She'll know what to do." "What if they don't believe me?" "They will, because you're not alone anymore. You have me, you have us, and we don't give up." Sierra heard crying on the other end. "Thank you," Amanda whispered. I thought nobody cared. We care. And Amanda, we're coming to get you." Sierra hung up, called Julia, gave her Amanda's information. Then she got in her car, drove to the ranch, walked into the kitchen, saw Ryder at the stove making tacos, Kane setting the table, both of them laughing at something. Family. She'd painted watercolors for 18 years. Safe, beautiful, meaningless. Now she painted truth. Ugly, hard, essential. And every child she helped was another brushstroke, another face brought into the light. Ryder looked up, smiled. "Hey, you okay?" "Yeah," Sierra said. "Just got a call. Another kid. Phoenix." Ryder's smile faded. He knew what that meant. "Can we help?" "We're going to try." Kane pulled out a chair for her. "Sit, eat, then we plan." Sierra sat, took a taco, but she couldn't stop thinking about Amanda, about the fear in her voice, about how many more there were. Hidden, silent, invisible. Her phone buzzed again. News alert. Victor Aldrich convicted on 4 counts of child abuse, sentenced to 8 years. Not enough. Would never be enough. But it was something. Sierra looked around the table, at Kane, at Ryder, at the family they'd built from ashes and scars and stubborn refusal to look away. "To Amanda," she said, raising her glass of water. Kane and Ryder raised theirs. "To Amanda." They drank, and in the morning they'd start fighting again, because the work was never done. The invisible children were still out there, still scared, still waiting, still hoping that someone somewhere would see them, would believe them, would fight. Sierra Morrison had been that someone, and she wasn't stopping. Not ever. 2 years later, Highway 95. Mile marker 143. Sierra pulled the car over. Ryder sat in the passenger seat, both of them staring at the memorial. Flowers, photos, a small plaque in memory of Max, and for all the invisible children who found their voice. You want to stop? Ryder asked. Yeah. They got out, stood where the truck had exploded, where everything had changed. Ryder looked at the desert stretching endlessly. 2 years. Feels like yesterday. Feels like a lifetime. Silence. Desert wind. The sound of occasional traffic passing. Ryder turned to her. I never thanked you. Not really. You saved my life. I think we're even. Ryder shook his head. You saved more than my life. You gave me a future, a family, a reason to believe people are good. Sierra's eyes watered. You showed me who I could be. Before that night, I was just existing, painting, hiding. You weren't hiding. You were waiting. For what? For your moment to matter. Sierra laughed through tears. You sound like Cain. Ryder grinned. Well, he's my dad now. Gotta pick up some wisdom. Sierra's phone rang. Unknown number. She looked at Ryder. He nodded. She answered. Is this Sierra Morrison? Young voice, male, terrified. I need help, please. I don't know who else to call. Sierra looked at the highway stretching ahead, at Ryder standing beside her, at the memorial behind them. Tell me where you are, Sierra said. We're coming. She hung up, looked at Ryder. Ready. Always. They got in the car, drove toward the horizon, not running from fire, running toward it, because that's what they did now. That's who they were. The invisible ones weren't invisible anymore. They had Sierra. They had Ryder. They had Hoffa. They had each other. And somewhere in a cell, 8 hours away, Victor Aldrich was learning that monsters don't always win. Sometimes the children fight back. Sometimes they have someone who believes them. And sometimes, just sometimes, justice isn't blind. It just needed someone brave enough to make it see. Sierra Morrison had been that someone, and the highway stretched ahead, full of children waiting to be seen. She wasn't looking away. Not ever again.